Today, let's talk about what mindfulness is once again. Mindfulness is your ability to pay attention to what is relevant in the given moment and at the same time remember what your self is trying to tell you and make you remember or recollect the strands of the true Buddha nature that pervades all of life and cosmos. With mindfulness, you don't just elevate your consciousness, which can be of six types as per traditional Theravada Buddhism. And let's name those types, which is the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the taste consciousness, the smell consciousness, the touch consciousness, and the mind consciousness. Apart from these forms of consciousness, there are also other forms of consciousness like light consciousness, electric consciousness, and also sound consciousness, which we can also correlate to ear consciousness but is not exactly the same. Most importantly, it's important to know that mindfulness elevates your consciousness by making you more alert, more stable, more regulated, more aware, and more wholesome in your thoughts, speech, intentions, actions, livelihood, your work, your ability to do things in the world. Now, as I've mentioned before in my previous videos, this goes hand in hand with yoga, where yoga is about knowing all of life as one unit or one packet and not dividing those packets into multiple fragments which go to multiple different places, but rather direct it in such a way that the current flows directly back to you and does not get dissipated. So, yoga helps you with energy management, whereas mindfulness helps you with the direct understanding of that energy. So, where is mindfulness in this? Mindfulness is in knowing clear comprehension, on being clearly comprehensible about everything that is happening within you and outside of you in all the 10 directions. And if we expand further into the more advanced Dharma sections, we can also know the other directions, which are the 11 directions, the 12 directions, the 13 directions, the 14 directions, and know the Dhamma in a multi-dimensional or a hyperplanar space. For now, we will stick to the 10 Dhammic directions which we learn in traditional Theravada Buddhism. It's important to not get confused in the directional aspect of Buddhism because the directions, just like everything else, are impermanent. They flow from one point to another and they arise, peak, and pass as per causes and conditions, which the Dhamma tells us is also impermanent, but the Dhamma also points back to itself and tells us that the Dhamma is impermanently permanent, which means the Dhamma never ends. Sensory experience might start and end, but the Dhamma never ends. It keeps turning. And then we see with mindfulness of Dhamma that the thoughts that we create in our mind all point to a vector space, which is also the Dhamma. So ultimately, it's important to know that clear comprehension, coming back to the original point, is what our understanding of the Dhamma is, but is also the right understanding of the Dhamma. Because often our understanding of the Dhamma and the right understanding of the Dhamma may not exactly match or be confirmed. And hence, when you stay on these phone calls all day, talking to different people, you forget that the Dhamma is pointing at the truth. And in yoga, we call the throat chakra or the Vishuddhi as the center of truth. So, hence, a person who is on the right path or who knows the Eightfold Path of the Buddha knows yoga by default simply by means of the fact that the Vishuddhi or every spoken word points to the truth and the truth is the Dhamma. So that's how the Buddha used logical reasoning to explain mindfulness of Dhamma. And this is very clearly explained in the Anapanasati Sutta or even the Dhammavada Sutta, where the Buddha explains that during the times of war, people often misconstrued the meaning of what the Dhamma is, and hence the Buddha had to return to the town folk and return to the people and conduct these talks, like how we are conducting this Dhamma talk right now, to explain the true meaning of the Dhamma. And yogis often brought that into the Vishuddhi practice that we do, which is the throat practice, the practice of speaking, the practice of reciting verses, the practice of even rapping, the practice of even saying things that are in modern psychology called affirmations to attest to the fact that the Dhamma is real and the Dhamma is moving and the Dhamma can also be still. And this is all an emancipation or the magnificence of what we do when we sit in meditation. And today people are practicing meditation in various different forms, like they are walking, they are practicing meditation while playing cricket, while playing basketball, while playing football, while using the computer, and those are all valid forms of meditation. And when we sit, all these forms of meditation come together and become one unit, just like the Dhamma, the Buddha, and the Sangha in this order are one unit. That helps us understand, as per yoga, that this is the oneness of life that we experience as our practice, our meditation practice, and our mindfulness practice advances. So, friends, where does our right concentration come into the picture? Right concentration comes into the picture when clear concentration and clear comprehension both distill into one field of awareness. This field of awareness helps us know and understand every single thing, every single event, every single matter, every single focal point that is happening in our environment and in our surroundings as a direct understanding of the Dharma. And that's why in the four foundations of mindfulness, Bhante Gunaratna told us that there are many different dhammas and there are counterfeit dhammas. But the true dhamma is the Buddha Dharma or the Buddha Dhamma. And we may use the term dharma and dhamma interchangeably in our day to day conversations. But we should know that it's important to not use the language that we use to label the dhamma or the dharma as a counterfeit piece of software or work or technology or good or service or action or activity. Now, coming back to the original point, where does clear concentration and clear comprehension fit into the picture? Clear comprehension or clear concentration, and that's not an inclusive or, that's an exclusive or, because clear comprehension is developed in vipassana and clear concentration is developed in samatha practice. This helps us understand that our understanding of the Dhamma requires a direct knowledge of focusing our attention onto the right points within the body, which we understand with mindfulness of Dhamma. And we also understand through mindfulness of body, and we also understand through mindfulness of feeling, and we also understand through mindfulness of concentration, consciousness. Mindfulness of concentration also exists, but it's a more advanced topic, which Upasaka Chuladasa says as metacognitive introspective awareness or introspective awareness. So, tying all of that together, let me explain in simple language what right concentration is. Right concentration is the ability of a human or a sentient being to pay attention and to bring awareness into the right points into the body or the right feelings or the right consciousness so that the Dhamma can continue to progress and evolve and become as it's already becoming. It's in a state of becoming, so it becomes an even more advanced and refined form of the Buddha Dhamma. So that's how, my dear friends, in traditional computer science we understand recursion, which is a standard pattern that we see around in our universe. And I talk about it a lot in my meetings, my board meetings, my work meetings. Even when I'm at work, I talk about recursion. Even when I'm programming at the computer, I'm building software, I leverage or use recursion to help people understand how the Dhamma works. Because recursion is one of the fundamental aspects of the Dhamma. It's like a secret key to knowing how the Dhamma works. But simply knowing recursion is not enough. You also need to understand how integration works. You also need to understand how the discriminative mind works. And all of these may or may not relate to recursion. So it's important to also not fall into the key trap where you get one key and then you become satisfied with it. Because then the lesson of unsatisfactoriness or non grasping comes into the picture. And this, my dear friends, helps us understand the three marks of our existence: impermanence, the no self, and non grasping. Ultimately, I want to say that in today's time, practicing mindfulness of Dhamma is very important. And over winter seclusion, we were very involved and engrossed in practicing mindfulness of Dhamma, because the Dhamma is never under threat, but the Dhamma always needs people and mindfulness practitioners to hold it together. And when it's held together, we know the Buddha. And when we know the Buddha, we know life. And when we know life, we know ourselves. And that goes hand in hand like a bridge, like an electrical circuit that connects together. So, thank you everyone, and let's connect soon in another Dhamma Talk.